Hello, and welcome to our channel. We pay tribute to legendary figures like Grass Wonder, Terry Hennessy, Michael Stiborek, and other remarkable icons we've recently lost. With heartfelt stories, we celebrate their inspiring lives and lasting impact. Join us to honor these global legends. Subscribe for more uplifting tributes. Who was the only person to lead both the FBI and the CIA, shaping America's security through decades of crisis? William H. Webster, a man whose 101 years were packed with triumphs, controversies, and secrets that still spark debate. Let's dive into his story, from a small-town kid to a national security titan, and uncover what made him unforgettable. Born in St. Louis in 1924, Webster was no stranger to duty. He served as a Navy lieutenant in World War II and the Korean War, then carved out a legal career that landed him as a federal judge by 1970. Known for his unshakable integrity, he was a Republican trusted by presidents of both parties. But his real test was yet to come. In 1978, Jimmy Carter tapped Webster to lead the FBI, which was reeling from Watergate's domestic spying scandals. He didn't just clean house, he transformed it. His Abscam sting, where agents posed as Middle Eastern businessmen, nabbed corrupt congressmen, proving the FBI could fight political crime. He also pushed for more diversity, bringing in black and female agents, and sharpened the Bureau's focus on terrorism. But that wasn't the whole story. By 1987, Ronald Reagan needed an outsider to fix the CIA after the Iran-Contra mess. Webster stepped in, calming tensions with Congress and boosting morale. Yet, whispers of failure lingered. A CIA officer named Aldrich Ames was selling secrets to the Soviets, compromising dozens of operations. Webster's team didn't catch him, a black mark that still stings. Then came 2002. Webster was picked to lead a new accounting oversight board after Enron's collapse. But reports surfaced about his ties to U.S. Technologies, a company accused of fraud. He stepped down fast, leaving questions about his judgment. And what happened next would shock everyone. From 2005 to 2020, Webster chaired the Homeland Security Advisory Council, guiding the nation through post-9/11 challenges. In 2020, he endorsed Joe Biden, and in 2024, Kamala Harris, urging senators to block Trump's picks for FBI and intelligence roles, citing loyalty to individuals over law. Some on X even claimed he hid Saudi ties to 9/11. Rumors that remain unproven but keep his legacy in the spotlight. On a personal note, Webster faced danger even in his 90s. In 2015, a scammer threatened to burn his house down or snipe him if he didn't pay up. Webster, ever the lawman, worked with the FBI to put the guy behind bars. He lived to 101, passing in August 2025, leaving 3 kids and a towering legacy. What does it take to stare death in the face, 200,000 miles from Earth, and still come out on top? Jim Lovell, the astronaut who defined courage under pressure, lived a life that turned impossible odds into legendary triumphs. Let's dive into the story of a man who flew to the moon twice, survived a space disaster, and left a mark on history that still inspires us today. Born in 1928 in Cleveland, Ohio, Jim Lovell was a kid obsessed with rockets, building his own models that sometimes ended in backyard explosions. As a teen, he'd trekked to Chicago's Adler Planetarium, dreaming of the stars. But his path wasn't easy. NASA rejected him for their first astronaut group in 1959 over a minor medical issue. Most would have given up, but Lovell? He doubled down, earning a spot in NASA's second astronaut class in 1962. That grit would define him. And what came next would test IT. In 1965, Lovell blasted off on Gemini 7, crammed into a tiny capsule with Frank Borman for 14 grueling days. They couldn't even stretch their legs, yet they set a record for the longest spaceflight at the time. A year later, on Gemini 12, he teamed up with Buzz Aldrin to nail spacewalks that proved humans could work outside a spacecraft. These missions weren't glamorous, they were tough, sweaty, and critical for what was coming. But the real game changer was just over the horizon. Christmas Eve, 1968. Lovell, now on Apollo 8, became one of the first humans to leave Earth's orbit and circle the moon. Picture this. 3 astronauts, alone in the void, staring at the moon's craters up close. They beamed back the iconic Earthrise photo, showing our fragile blue planet against the lunar wasteland. During a live broadcast, they read from Genesis to a billion viewers, offering hope in a turbulent year. But Lovell's biggest challenge was still to come. April 1970. Apollo 13. Lovell was set to walk on the moon, commanding a crew with Jack Swigert and Fred Haise. 2 days in, a deafening bang rocked their spacecraft. An oxygen tank had blown, ripping apart their power and air supply. Lovell looked out and saw oxygen venting into space. "Houston, we've had a problem," he radioed, calm as ever. The moon landing was scrapped. Survival was now the mission. And what happened next would redefine heroism. With their command module dying, Lovell's crew piled into the lunar module, a tiny lifeboat built for two. For 4 freezing, airless days, they rationed water to 6 ounces each and jury-rigged a carbon dioxide filter with duct tape and cardboard. Some whispers online suggest NASA cut corners on safety, but those claims are just that, whispers. What's clear is Lovell's cool-headed leadership. Using the moon's gravity, they slung around it and limped back to Earth, splashing down safely on April 17th. It was a successful failure that showed NASA's grit. But there's more to Lovell's story. After retiring from NASA in 1973, Lovell didn't fade away. He co-wrote Lost Moon, the book behind the 1995 Apollo 13 film, where Tom Hanks played him. He even made a cameo as a Navy captain. Lovell poured his heart into Chicago's Adler Planetarium, donating his Apollo 8 suit and Apollo 13 manuals. He named a lunar mountain Mount Marilyn after his wife of 71 years, who passed in 2023. And when he spoke, his wonder for space lit up rooms, inspiring kids and adults alike. On August 7, 2025, Jim Lovell passed away at 97 in Lake Forest, Illinois. Tributes poured in, with NASA calling him a hero whose courage forged our path to the moon. Online, some still question Apollo 13's safety, but Lovell's legacy drowns out the noise. He flew to space 4 times, held the record for time in space, and earned the Presidential Medal of Freedom. His life wasn't just about surviving, it was about pushing humanity forward. Have you ever heard of the NFL star who broke records, changed the game, and still got left out of the Hall of Fame? Billy Houghton was a legend who lit up the field for the Packers, Browns, and Cowboys, but his story hides some shocking twists that'll keep you hooked. Let's dive into the life of the Red Fox and uncover why his name deserves to be remembered. In 1952, a lanky kid from Texas stepped onto the NFL stage and turned heads. Billy Houghton, fresh out of Rice University, joined the Green Bay Packers and did something no rookie had ever done. He racked up 1,231 receiving yards, a record that stood unmatched for decades. With 13 touchdowns, he was drawing comparisons to the great Don Hutson, proving he wasn't just fast, he was unstoppable. But that was only the beginning. Fast forward to 1956, and Houghton was rewriting the record books again. He led the NFL with 1,188 yards and 12 touchdowns, but one game stood out. A jaw-dropping 257 yards on just 7 catches against the Los Angeles Rams. That's still a Packers record, untouched nearly 70 years later. His nickname, Red Fox, fit perfectly. Those slick moves and blazing speed left defenders grasping at air. And what happened next would cement his place in history. On September 29, 1957, Houghton made Lambeau Field's first ever receiving touchdown, a 37-yard strike from Babe Parilli in a win over the Bears. For a team stuck in losing seasons, Houghton was a rare bright spot, hauling in passes year after year. But his impact wasn't just on the field, it was about to shake up the entire league. Off the gridiron, Houghton was a trailblazer. In 1956, he helped found the NFL Players Association and became its first president. He fought for player pensions and better conditions, standing up to owners when few dared. His bold moves led to the Burt Bell Retirement Plan, a lifeline for players that still exists today. But that wasn't the whole story. In 1959, everything changed. New Packers coach Vince Lombardi traded Houghton to the Cleveland Browns, and whispers started. Some say it was his lack of blocking skills, but others claim his NFLPA leadership made him a target. There's no hard proof, but the timing raised eyebrows. Houghton spent just 1 season in Cleveland before landing with the expansion Dallas Cowboys in 1960. And what happened next would shock everyone. With the Cowboys, Houghton kept shining, leading the team in receptions in 1961 with 56 catches. Playing under Tom Landry, he helped build the foundation for a franchise that had become a powerhouse. By 1963, when he hung up his cleats, Houghton was the NFL's all-time leader in receptions, 503, and yards, 8,459. Those numbers were massive for his era, yet something was missing. Despite his records, Houghton's never been a finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Even Hall of Famer Raymond Barry called him extremely dangerous with great technique, saying he deserved a spot in Canton. So why the snub? Some point to his trade from Green Bay or his NFLPA role, but the debate rages on. Fans on X have been buzzing, with posts calling him a forgotten pioneer who changed the game. Arlindo Cruz. What makes a samba legend? Is it the voice that carries a nation's rhythm, the songs that echo through generations, or the strength to face life's toughest battles? Arlindo Cruz, a name that defines Brazilian music, was all of that and more. Let's dive into the story of a man who shaped samba, faced personal storms, and left a legacy that still resonates today. Born in 1958 in Rio's Madureira, a neighborhood pulsing with samba's heartbeat, Arlindo Cruz grew up surrounded by music. His father, Arlindo, a cavaquinist tied to samba great Candy, gifted him his first cavaquinho at age 7. By 12, Arlindo was playing by ear, picking up chords from his brother's guitar and stepping into Rio's vibrant rodas de samba. He wasn't just a kid with talent. He was a prodigy, already jamming with legends like Candy, laying down tracks by 15. But that wasn't all. In 1981, Arlindo's life changed when he joined Grupo Fundo de Quintal, stepping in for Jorge Aragao. For 12 years, he was the group's heartbeat, strumming the banjo cavaquinho and singing hits like O Show Tem Que Continuar. His chemistry with bandmate Sombrinha sparked a new era for Pagoda, blending raw samba roots with fresh energy. Fundo de Quintal didn't just play music, they redefined it, and Arlindo was at the core. What came next would cement his name in history. Leaving Fundo de Quintal in 1993, Arlindo launched a solo career that proved his genius. His debut album, Arlindinho, was just the start. Teaming up with Sombrinha again, he dropped albums that sold thousands, like De Musica, while penning over 500 songs. Artists like Zika Pagodinho, Beth Carvalho, and Alshan brought his words to life with tracks like Meu Lugar and Bagaco de Laranja. Arlindo wasn't just a musician, he was a storyteller, capturing love, struggle, and joy in every note. But his influence stretched even further. Carnival ran through Arlindo's veins. His samba and Rito compositions powered Rio's top schools, from Império Serrano to Vila Isabel, electrifying crowds during Brazil's biggest party. In 2014, he even wrote the anthem for Fulico, the FIFA World Cup mascot, proving his voice could reach beyond samba's roots. His work earned Latin Grammy nods and awards like the Estandarte de Ouro, but whispers about his personal life started to surface. Rumors swirled around Arlindo's relationship with Bobby Cruz, his partner since the 1980s. It's been said their romance was a roller coaster, engagements, breakups, and reconciliations marked by fiery passion and heartbreak. Some spoke of betrayals, including a son, Cowan Felipe, born outside their relationship. There were also hushed stories of Arlindo facing personal battles, with some claiming he struggled to break free from substances in the wild 80s music scene. These tales, true or not, painted a complex man behind the music, and what happened next would shock everyone. In March 2017, tragedy struck. While preparing for a show with his son, Arlindinho, Arlindo suffered a stroke that changed everything. The vibrant performer was left unable to walk or speak, relying on intensive care. Bobby became his rock, caring for him like a son, decoding his needs through decades of love. Despite small signs of progress, like mouthing words or breathing on his own, the road was grueling. Fans held their breath, hoping for a miracle. But the story wasn't over. In 2025, Arlindo's health took another hit. Hospitalized in April for pneumonia, he fought for months, with a brief return home in June. By July, a resistant infection brought him back to the hospital, where he passed away on August 8, 2025, at 66. Tributes poured in, with posts on X calling him a voice of the people and a samba poet. His death wasn't just a loss, it was the end of an era. Have you ever wondered what makes an actor unforgettable? Frank Grimes, the Dublin-born legend who left us too soon in August 2025, had that spark. From gritty Irish stages to global screens, his career was a masterclass in storytelling. But there's more to his journey than you might know. Let's dive into the life of a man who brought heart to every role. Born in 1947 in Cabra, Dublin, Frank Grimes was the youngest of 7 kids in a working-class family. Acting wasn't just a job, it was his escape. He trained at the Abbey Theatre, Ireland's beating heart of drama, and by his early 20s, he was already turning heads. His big break came playing Brendan Behan in Borstal Boy, a raw, emotional role that took him from Dublin to Paris and then Broadway. Critics were floored. New York named him Most Promising Actor, and he snagged a Tony nomination. That was just the start. But what made this young Dubliner so magnetic? Grimes didn't stop at the Abbey. He conquered London's biggest stages, National Theatre, Royal Shakespeare Company, the West End. He brought Shakespeare, Sean O'Casey, and more to life with a vulnerability that hit audiences hard. Each performance felt like a conversation, not a script. His knack for making characters human set him apart. And yet, something bigger was coming. In 1980, Ireland met Father O'Connor in Strumpet City. Grimes' portrayal of the naive young priest in RT's gritty drama wasn't just acting, it was a revelation. He won a Jacobs Award, and Irish viewers couldn't look away. His scenes with David Kelly's Rasher's Tierney are still talked about today. But could he take that intensity to the big screen? Hollywood called, and Grimes answered. In 1977, he played Major Fuller in A Bridge Too Far, sharing the screen with stars like Sean Connery. It was his biggest film role, but not without drama. Rumors swirled about a clash with director Franco Zeffirelli on another project, Brother Sun, Sister Moon. Some say Grimes' bold personality led to his replacement. True or not, it added a layer of intrigue to his career. What else was hidden behind his charm? Then came Coronation Street. From 2008 to 2015, Grimes played Barry Connor, the warm but flawed dad to Michelle Connor. Over 50 episodes, he became a familiar face to millions, blending Dublin wit with heartfelt moments. He popped up in Mrs. Brown's Boys and Father Brown too, proving he could do it all: comedy, drama, you name it. But there was another side to him few saw. Grimes was obsessed with James Joyce. He wrote and starred in a one-man show, The He and the She of It, a portrait of James Joyce that left audiences speechless. Performed in Dublin, London, and Paris, it earned standing ovations every night. His voice, described as mesmerizing, brought Joyce's world to life. It's the kind of passion that doesn't just entertain, it inspires. But what happened in his final days? On August 1st, 2025, Frank Grimes passed away at 78 after a brief illness, surrounded by his wife Jeanette, kids Tilly and Andrew, and 7 grandkids. The Irish Cultural Centre called him one of Ireland's greatest actors, praising his warmth and that unmistakable sparkle in his eyes. Online, fans whispered about his health in the weeks before, but details are scarce. Reports suggest it was sudden, leaving many in shock. What if one of Wales' greatest footballers slipped under the radar? Terry Hennessy, a name that echoed through stadiums in the 60s and 70s, passed away in 2025 at 82, leaving behind a legacy that's got fans talking. From Birmingham City to Nottingham Forest and captaining Wales against legends like Pelé, his story is packed with triumphs and untold tales. Let's dive into the journey of a defender who shaped football across continents. Hennessy was just a kid from Leigh, Wales, when Birmingham City snapped him up straight from school. By 1961, at 19, he was already captaining the Blues in the Fairs Cup final against Roma, a bold move for a youngster. His grit and leadership turned heads, setting the stage for a career that would define an era. But that was only the start of his climb. In 1963, Hennessy helped Birmingham lift the Football League Cup, beating rivals Aston Villa in a heated showdown. That victory cemented his reputation as a clutch performer, thriving under pressure. Fans still talk about how he held the defense together, but bigger clubs were already circling. And what happened next would take him to new heights. By 1965, Nottingham Forest came calling, and Hennessy didn't just join, he became their captain. Known for his daring style, he once danced past 3 opponents in his own penalty area, cool as ice, before passing back to the keeper. Risky? Sure. But that was Terry, fearless and commanding. His 5 years at Forest made him a fan favorite, but a massive move was looming. In 1970, Brian Clough made Hennessy Derby County's first £100,000 signing, a jaw-dropping fee at the time. He played a key role in their 1971-72 First Division title win, anchoring the defense in a historic campaign. He even shone in the Texaco Cup and European Cup runs, proving he could compete with the best. But his next chapter would take him to the world stage. For Wales, Hennessy was a giant. Earning 39 caps and captaining the side 20 times, He faced off against Pelé at just 19 in 1961, a moment that still gives fans chills. His leadership inspired a generation of Welsh players, but injuries cut his playing days short by 1973. And that wasn't the end of his story. Retirement didn't slow Hennessy down. He took his talents to the US, leading the Tulsa Roughnecks to the 1983 NASL Championship. Later, he coached in Australia, shaping football on another continent. Settling on the Mornington Peninsula, he stayed close to the game, mentoring players and fans alike. But there's more to his legacy than trophies. When Hennessy passed on August 8, 2025, tributes poured in from Birmingham, Nottingham, and Derby. Fans on X have been buzzing, with some saying his contributions to Welsh football and global coaching haven't gotten the love they deserve. Posts online hint at a legacy that's been quietly overlooked, sparking debates about his place in history. Was he underappreciated? That's for you to decide.